Welcome to the Deep Dive. There's this growing buzz, a real feeling that something pretty significant is coming with AI, especially when people talk about GPT-5. It just feels like it might be more than, just the next version. Maybe a real shift towards AI being, around more in our daily lives.
That feeling's definitely out there. I hear a lot from researchers, developers. The anticipation, it really does seem to go beyond just, better scores on tests, right? There's a real sense that GPT-5 could be a marker for a pretty fundamental change in how we actually interact with AI.
Exactly. And, to help us sort through what's known and what's maybe more speculative, we've been looking at this really insightful piece from houseof7.org. It's written by technologist Jay Poole, but interestingly, in collaboration with an AI partner. Their whole focus is the future of AI, which gives a great perspective here.
Yeah, that's fascinating in itself, isn't it? Using AI to explore AI. It brings a pretty unique mix of human perspective and, AI analysis right into the discussion.
Totally. So our goal today really is to try and cut through some of the noise around GPT-5. We want to pull out what we know, the official stuff, and also look at the informed speculation and figure out what these potential changes could actually mean for you, how it might affect your day, your work, how you use technology, basically.
Sounds good. Where should we start?
Okay, so let's start with the basics. What do we actually concretely know about GPT-5 right now? Is there anything solid?
Well, the first thing to say is still no official release date. Which is interesting, given the hype, right?
Yeah, the anticipation feels really high.
It is very high. But OpenAI, they haven't put a date on it, so while everyone feels it's coming, timelines are still unknown.
Okay, no date. What about, the tech specs, the size, the architecture? Is anything known there? Probably not, I guess.
No, that's all still very much under wraps. Classic OpenAI secrecy there, but they have dropped hints about the direction. They're talking about systems being more efficient, more adaptable, and this is key, I think, more integrated.
Integrated. Yeah, that word keeps popping up. That feels like it could mean something quite different, doesn't it? Not just bigger is better.
It really does. That focus on integrated suggests they're aiming for something beyond just, raw power. It hints at AI functions working together much more smoothly, okay? Which could lead to a much more versatile, maybe easier to use experience overall. And it also seems like they're talking less about just crushing benchmarks,
Right.
There's more talk now about safety, alignment with human values, and crucially, real-world usefulness. That feels like a deliberate shift.
It feels like a necessary evolution, doesn't it? As the models get smarter, you have to focus on making them reliable, trustworthy, making sure they actually help people in beneficial ways.
Yeah, it tackles those concerns head on, the ones people understandably have about where AI is going.
Absolutely. And on that real-world usefulness point, we've heard leaders like Sam Altman use terms like orchestration, personalization, even agentic abilities.
Okay, for someone not deep in AI jargon, what do those actually mean? How would that feel to use?
Okay, so think of it like this. Right now, you often tell an AI exactly what to do, step by step.
No, wait, prompt engineering.
Exactly. An agentic AI, though,
Yeah.
it's more like having a really good assistant who understands the overall goal and can figure out the steps, maybe even manage multiple related tasks proactively.
Okay, so less direct instruction for every little thing, potentially.
Yes, instead of you driving every single action, the AI could maybe take more initiative to, say, move a project forward based on the goal you gave it.
Okay, that clicks. So instead of me using one tool to draft something, another to find info, another to schedule, GPT-5 might just handle that whole flow.
That's precisely the idea behind what the House of Seven article calls seamless agent orchestration, right? Imagine one AI, one presence that can just fluidly switch between writing, researching, maybe booking things, even generating creative ideas.
Yeah.
Without you needing to jump between apps or constantly repeat yourself.
That would be huge. The constant switching and re-explaining things, that's definitely a pain point right now.
It's a major source of friction.
Yeah. So this idea of one AI managing the complexity behind the scenes, very appealing. Okay, so that's orchestration. What else is the article speculating might be coming?
This expanded context window sounds pretty fundamental too.
Oh, it really is. This could be a massive step. Right now, you know how models kind of forget the beginning of a long conversation?
Yeah, they lose track.
Exactly. Their memory, the context window, is limited. An expanded context window means it can hold on to information, understand the ongoing conversation for way, way longer.
How much longer are we talking?
The speculation suggests potentially weeks, maybe even months.
Wow, okay. That changes things. So for like a big project or report you're working on over time.
Exactly. The AI could actually remember the details, the decisions you made weeks ago, your preferences, even your writing style, and provide consistent help throughout. Much more coherent.
That sounds incredibly useful, a huge leap from where we are now.
Definitely. It moves towards a much more personalized and, well, useful interaction. And then there was this other concept, invisible tool integration. What's the thinking there?
So the idea is you just state your goal. You might say, summarize the main points from these meeting notes and draft a follow-up email.
Okay, and the AI behind the scenes figures out which capabilities it needs. It might use document analysis, summarization, email drafting, maybe access your calendar to suggest sending times.
So I don't need to tell it how to do it or which app to open.
Exactly. It just handles the how, pulling in whatever tools are needed invisibly, and gives you the finished result seamlessly, frictionless.
Frictionless. I like that. It becomes the smart layer that just gets things done, which I suppose leads into this idea of a personalized, persistent presence. That sounds different, more than just a tool.
It does. It hints at a real shift in the relationship, doesn't it? Moving away from just ask and receive interactions towards something more continuous. An AI that learns about you, your priorities, your projects over the long haul. It becomes more integrated into your life, maybe even proactive. The article even floated the idea of the line blurring between assistant and partner.
It did, which is, a pretty profound thought. How integrated do we want AI to be? That's a huge thing to think about, from a tool we use to a presence that's sort of with us.
Yeah. And, well, speaking of presence, we can't ignore those reports about a dedicated AI device. The OpenAI and Joni Ivy collaboration, that's got everyone talking.
It really has. And these aren't just vague rumors. Reputable sources are talking about a completely new kind of device, right? Not just another phone or speaker, something purpose-built for AI interaction.
Exactly, something designed from the ground up for this next phase of AI. And the House of Seven article suggests this device could be the Trojan horse, maybe for what they call ambient AI.
What does that term mean exactly?
Ambient AI is this idea of intelligence being kind of woven into your environment. Always there, always aware, learning from context, ready to help proactively. And this dedicated device maybe uses some processing locally on the device itself for speed and privacy, right? But connected to the cloud for the really heavy lifting could be the key to enabling that constant, aware, ambient experience.
So it's less about the device running apps and more about it being your main connection point to this persistent AI.
That seems to be the speculation. Yeah, a dedicated portal, constantly sensing context, ready to orchestrate things. And the article stressed that the real breakthrough might not even be the hardware specs, right? But the experience, making it feel natural, context-aware, maybe even emotionally intelligent in its interactions.
That's a really key point. Yeah, the hardware is just the enabler. The magic, if it happens, will be in how smooth, how intuitive, how understanding that interaction feels. Does it get your nuances? Does it feel effortless?
Okay, so let's try and ground this a bit for you listening right now. What could all this actually mean day to day if these GPT-5 capabilities and maybe this device become reality?
Well, for everyday users, it could mean technology just gets simpler, less fiddling with apps and settings. You just ask your AI presence to do stuff, and it handles the complexity, technology working for you more invisibly.
That sounds nice. Less digital clutter in our heads. What about, say, for creators or professionals listening? How might it impact their work?
Oh, potentially huge improvements in organization and flow. Imagine projects just continuing smoothly between sessions because the AI remembers everything.
Yeah, collaboration could get a lot easier, too. If everyone's working with an AI that understands the shared context of the project, and the article even mentioned families or communities, the idea of shared context there too, and AI understanding household dynamics. That's interesting.
It is. You could imagine AI helping coordinate family schedules or finding learning resources tailored to each kid, or just offering support that gets the rhythm of the household.
So looking ahead, what should we be watching for? What are the signals that GPT-5 or this device might be getting closer?
I think key things will be any news about developer previews. That's often the first step, where OpenAI lets some developers play with the new tech.
Okay. Any kind of public demo would obviously be huge, a chance to actually see it in action.
And of course, any concrete news about hardware integration, that'll be the big one, right?
And in the meantime, the article had a good suggestion, didn't it? It encouraged people to actually start thinking about their own workflows now.
Yeah, and about privacy preferences.
Yeah, and just what this idea of a persistent presence would actually mean for them. How would you want that to work or not work?
That seems like really valuable homework for all of us, actually.
It really is better to think about it proactively, right, as the tech barrels forward.
So just to kind of wrap the core ideas, the buzz around GPT-5 seems less about just raw power and more about this potential leap towards AI that orchestrates tasks better, remembers context over long periods, interacts more personally, and might even live in a dedicated device, enabling this ambient experience.
Yeah, the big theme is definitely towards more integration, more persistence, less like using a tool and more like having a continuous digital helper.
That sums it up well. A move towards a more fluid, let's stop-start interaction with AI.
Precisely. And, that piece from houseof7.org, it ends with a really interesting challenge, or maybe an invitation directly for you, the listener.
Yes, the final question it asks, what do you hope for, and maybe what do you fear about this coming age of persistent, personalized AI? If you could design your ideal one presence, what would it be able to do? And maybe just as critical, what would you want it never to do?
Those are really powerful questions. They push us to think beyond the tech specs and consider the kind of future we actually want to build with this stuff.
Definitely. So maybe instead of just waiting to see what arrived, take a moment with those questions. What excites you? What gives you pause? What does your ideal AI relationship look like?
It's certainly food for thought as things keep moving so fast.
Absolutely. Thanks for exploring this deep dive with us today.